Okay, are we live now? Okay.
We are. Yep.
I think we're live. So it's live and a little counter there. So hi everyone. So we're gonna talk about the Joker right now. Super excited. So if you have not seen the movie, please do not watch this because it's better. The less you know about the movie, the better, I think, in my opinion. So before we get started, I want to introduce my beautiful, awesome guests. Yes, you're beautiful, even though you're guys. Okay, we can still call men beautiful. All right. So first up, we have Anthony from Visual Media. And just to let you know, guys, it might be lagging at certain points because
How's it going?
Wi-Fi issues. So just to let you know, if, in case you're wondering why is this person taking so long to like respond, that's why. Okay, they're not dumb or anything. All right. So thank you, Anthony, for being here. Welcome again.
Appreciate it. I'm honored to be here with you too, and yeah, can't wait to start talking about this movie. Yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome. And we also have Chris from the YouTube channel Cinema Savvy.
Hey guys, so like Joaquin Phoenix's character in this movie, I've been painstakingly planning my intro on this live stream. But no, it's great. I've seen the movie twice now. I can't wait to talk about it with you guys.
Oh my gosh, I want to see it again. I just saw it on Friday. I was like, when did I see it? All right, so let's start, I guess, with, just like your overall thoughts on the film. I guess we'll go in alphabetical order. So Anthony.
Just my thoughts on the movie.
Like general, like overall, and then we can get into specifics.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. My overall thoughts on the is I really enjoyed it a lot. I actually really loved the movie. I thought character piece on the Joker, and I think that the move exploring the psychological depths that the Joker is going through, his mental health and the Gotham and this kind of like Elseworld story. So I thought the movie was fantastic. I thought the Joaquin Phoenix as well performance. So yeah, overall I love the movie. I hope to see it again soon, just because I need to rewatch it a couple times to see what's kind of and analyze like what may or may not be like in his mind as well. So yeah, those are my kind of like overall thoughts on the movie so far.
All right, thank you. So Chris, your turn.
So yeah, no, I absolutely love the movie. I came out of it and I may have had quite an extreme reaction to it. I said this is my film of the year. I obviously haven't seen all the movies for the rest of this year yet, but it's definitely up there, definitely top 2 for me at the moment. It was very difficult going into this movie without some kind of preconceived idea of what it's going to be about, because the trailers came out and I thought this movie could go either way. Like, we know that this is a completely different take on the Joker from what we're used to with the likes of Heath Ledger or Mark Hamill or anything we've seen before. And we know that this is going to be a more involved sort of drama character piece. It's going to be very bleak. It's going to be very nasty. And it's all of those things. But then reviews started coming out for this thing, 5 stars, film of the year, everything like that. And when I see that, I always try and I try and distance myself from reviews like that because I want to go in with my own opinion and everything like that. And I wasn't sure how it was going to go with the director as well. Todd Phillips is most famous for directing the Hangover trilogy, which I wasn't a massive fan of. I know that it definitely does have its fans, but after seeing this movie, it's like night and day compared to the Hangover films, right? This almost feels like a completely different director. This is artistic. This is grimy. It's sleazy. It's dark. It's grim, which is everything you want from a Joker movie, right? No, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was incredible.
Okay, so, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. So many, so many things to talk about. Okay, so let's start with just, Arthur Fleck, in general, like, how did you guys feel like throughout the movie? Like I talked about in my review about how like definitely made me feel for him. Like it was just so it was painful. It was so good, but it was painful to watch at the same time because all these like bad things are happening to him, and you just hope like one thing is gonna go right and then it doesn't. And I'm not saying obviously it justifies like you like you know, or anyone, like if something bad happens to you, doesn't justify you hurting other people or anything. But like, for example, when he had that, you know, dream where he was on the show and like Robert De Niro's character brought him on and he's like, oh, I wish I had a son like you. And he had that like nice moment. I thought it was real. And I was like, oh, finally something is going well. And then it's not, you know, true. So maybe just talk a little bit about, you know, just, or a lot about just overall how you felt just watching this character and his progression and everything. And well, just to keep it fair, I'll just start with Chris now, and I'll just go back and forth, you know, start with Chris and Anthony, and just, you know, that's the best way for me to do it. So Chris, you can start now.
I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is easily one of the best actors in the business, right? He chooses it. He's kind of like Daniel Day-Lewis in that regard. Like he's really, you know, he'll pick his roles very, very sparingly, but very incredibly well. The trailer was chilling to watch, and the film is even more so. The performance is definitely going to be the thing that is, and quite rightly so, is going to be the thing that's most talked about with this movie. And I love that the movie, I mean, it's pretty much just his point of view the entire movie, pretty much. Maybe a slight exception to a thing that's tacked on at the very end, which I'm sure we'll get into with spoiler talk, where it ties into sort of the grander Batman world. But, you know, it follows him all the way through, and he is just electrifying to watch. He commands your attention every single time. Not even just like, because the Joker comes into it very, very late on, pretty much in the third act. We are just with this character of Arthur Fleck, you know, those 1,000-yard stares of him when he's in his therapy sessions. It's chilling. And I will definitely say that, you know, before this, I would probably say that Heath Ledger is the most realistic Joker we had until that point. This, you know, Heath Ledger, still a fantastic performance. This is the most terrifying Joker we've ever seen because he feels so real. You can absolutely see why people that do go off the deep end, or, you know, are complete sociopaths or psychopaths or serial killers, you can see all those basically society crafting what he becomes. We see him, you know, we know that the Joker's there in his psyche deep down, and it's society until he reaches this boiling point when he gets there. And I thought that Joaquin Phoenix portrayed that fantastically. I think he definitely deserves the Oscar. If he doesn't get a nomination this year, then what are the Academy playing at? Because he deserves it. He commands your attention, and he is chilling to watch beginning to end. I kind of want to see more of him, though. The thing is that when this movie ends, Joaquin Phoenix isn't a guy who really does sequels all that much, and I don't really see him as a franchise kind of guy, which is a real shame, because when we get the Joker at the end, it's like, okay, great, now I want to see this Joker. Now he's become this. I want to see this Joker offset with Batman, but we probably won't get that. But yeah, no, he was fantastic.
Anthony, your turn. And don't worry, guys, this is a spoiler discussion, so you can you know, talk about spoilers. It's fine. So if anyone is watching and you have not seen the movie, go away. Okay.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I thought I was fascinated by the character of Arthur Fleck and, you know, / Joker in the movie. Joaquin really did carry this movie on his own. Just giving us like putting us on this journey of like seeing how this man, who's just an ordinary guy who, you know, had a really messed up life, and just seeing how he transitioned little by little throughout, and finally by the end, you know, becoming the Joker that we all know. And I think that yeah, I agree with you. The Joaquin deserves. I don't know what other actors right now could possibly, besides Joaquin right now, because, you know, we're close to the end of the year so far, but I think Joaquin just little are so like on point. Like you just know what he's feeling just by looking at it. Little things that he does is just Joker. I think did a lot as well, and this is like a more personal film in regard to the Joker. And I think, you know, there's obviously, you know, references to like Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. The like little similarities, you know, of, you know, a person and what it takes for someone to allow the world around him to kind of change him for the world, like that kind of mirror of what society is, what he's become, you know, as a reflection. So I know I agree. I think that this performance is changing, and there's moments where I was cringing, you know, watching Joaquin perform because of how he just like makes you feel uncomfortable so many times. It's amazing. So those are my thoughts on what on Arthur.
And physically as well, right? Like not just how he portrayed, but like physically how he looked. I mean, this guy, like, he was almost like Christian Bale in The Machinist. I don't know if you guys have seen that, where he's like 6 stone nothing.
Yeah.
Like this guy is like, he's skeletal in this movie. And not just that, but there's loads of scenes where he almost does like this interpretive dance where he's sort of portraying his inner moods through his body, which is a take that we've never seen with the Joker before. I actually really liked it. I can understand that some people might watch it and think that it's just being really artsy just for the sake of it, but I really dug that. Like even before he goes on the chat show at the end, he's sort of gearing himself up and he's like rolling his shoulders back and doing like all this weird stuff. I thought that was inspired as well. And the fact that I'm guessing we'll talk about the laugh as well, this maybe condition that he has, although they definitely draw a question mark around that, whether it is actually a condition or it isn't. That the laugh physically hurts him. It looks uncomfortable. He's like choking, he's belching. It looks, you really feel sorry for this guy, but the fact that that's the side of the Joker I've never seen before, where his laugh, his iconic laugh, is actually causing him physical pain.
Yeah, I thought that was a very interesting, just like kind of new thing to add to, you know, the Joker and everything. And I wondered that too, like if that was like an actual condition, but I don't know. I haven't looked it up yet, but I feel like it could happen. You know, if you get head trauma too much, you know, it could affect, you know, your laugh. And I wanted to know what you guys thought. Like one thing I forgot to talk about in my review that later on I was like, wow, this was really good, was the editing and the cinematography. Well, I mean, I did mention cinematography, it was beautiful, obviously, but also the editing. You know, there was like so many, you know, long takes, and I felt like I really liked it because, first of all, to me, it kind of showed that, you know, Todd Phillips really trusted Joaquin. Like, it's just like, let's just let the cameras roll on him. And, you know, and also it added to a lot of like the kind of uncomfortableness of some of the scenes where like, you're like, okay, maybe you should cut because it feels really awkward. But then it's just like, no, you're going to stay in this moment and experience this. So I really, really love that about this film. So, Anthony, if you want to comment on that?
Yeah, cinematography was beautiful. I love the night scenes, everything, the way the city, Gotham, looked so like dark and dirty and grimy. It was beautiful. That was so well done in terms of like decisions. For example, like when Arthur meets with Thomas Wayne at that Charlie Chaplin, you know, theater in the bathroom. And then you see him after he punches him, he like, you know, stands a certain way, and then it cuts to him back in a position. So it makes me think like, well, that was that intentional? Was it supposed to? Maybe it was in his mind, or was it real? We don't know. And I like that part of the movie in terms of its editing because it makes you question like, wait, was it real or is this not? You know, it makes you think and it has that rewatchability factor by editing it that way. And there's so many things in the movie where it's like that, where you're just like wow, like it's like these long takes and these transitions of seeing him. And I can't think of any scene in this movie where it's not Joaquin in the movie. It's like literally he's in every single like scene. So like Todd Phillips did a great job of like trying to like make sure it's moment and not bored at all. It has a slow burn for sure at points, but he makes sure that you're like always like intrigued about what's going on next or questioning, wait, is this real? Is this in his brain? You know, things like that. So no, I agree. Chris, what do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, Lawrence Sher is sort of like a long-term collaborator with Tom Phillips. He worked with him on the Hangover films and a bunch of his other films as well. I went to see this with my buddy, and I just like not even half hour into the movie, I just turned to my buddy saying like, every frame of this movie is absolutely gorgeous. Like you could pause any frame of this movie and it'd be like a great wallpaper, or it's like an iconic Joker moment. The bit where at the beginning of the film where, you know, he's twirling the sign and then he's beaten up in the street and the camera just sort of slowly pulls back with him in like the fetal position on the floor. Like that's a great shot. There's so many great shots. And Anthony, you mentioned the match cuts between, I thought of that one too, the Thomas Wayne one where he's leaning over the sink and then he's leaning over the sink in his apartment. This is probably the most graphic novel like live action Batman or Joker movie we've seen before. I could absolutely see this translated back into the graphic novel medium and like tell the story that way. I thought that was really inspired. The use of color as well, or the use of no color, Gotham City as well. It pretty much just does look like New York in this one, like a sort of rundown, like late 70s, early 80s New York. But I kind of liked that about it. Very early on into the movie, we get introduced that, you know, that there's garbage strikes, there's litter in the streets, there's super rats. And I really like that kind of grimy, seedy underbelly kind of thing that we get shown in this movie. One of my favorite shots as well is where they get on the train, and it's the landscape shot of Gotham City, and you've got this slum area, and then in the far distance you can just see like the skyscrapers of the business industry and everything like that. And within a single image, before even getting into the themes of, you know, the upper class, lower class, the poverty versus wealthy, you get all that from that one single frame. And if you can get that across in your cinematography in a single image, then you know you're doing something right.
Yes, I can't wait to watch it. There's so many shots in this movie. I'm like, okay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I just want to like go like watch it in slow mo again, just like screenshot everything. So I want to talk a little bit about the relationship between Arthur and his mother. To me, like, I thought,
yeah, I'm with Anthony on this one.
Sorry. To me, that kind of made me kind of sympathize with him a little bit, because you're just like made it seem like at least at the beginning, like he wasn't like all like bad at the beginning, obviously, because he actually like took care of his mom and everything. And I was like, wow, he's actually like kind of sweet, and he's like bathing her. Like, not, I'm sorry, but not a lot of people would bathe their parents. It's kind of weird for them, but like, you know, I was like, wow, you know, so, you know, yeah. So yeah, I definitely thought it was like sweet, but then, you know, I find out all these other things, and then he freaking kills her, and I'm just like, what the frick? So what did you guys thought, you know, what did you guys think about, you know, that throughout the film? So maybe we'll start with Chris.
I was going to let Anthony start with this one because he had the most extreme reaction to it. That was great.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, I'll go first. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Because in the trailer, like, bathing his mom, and I thought it was gonna be like just a simple relationship. Like, oh sure, he's, you know, taking care of his mom. Maybe she's not able, you know, to, you know, shower herself. You know, maybe she has a condition. I was like, okay, maybe, you know, let's see what happens. And then the movie happens, and well, she's not really. What's the word? She's not like meant. Okay, she's crazy. We all know that by later on, but she's not like, she's still able to walk and, like, you know, take care of herself and, you know, do stuff, right? So I was like, this is kind of weird. And then when we realized, like, oh my god, like, the whole, like, she's adopted him and all this stuff, it's just, I cringe thinking about it now, because I that scene when he goes into, I think it's or it's supposed to be like a version of Arkham Asylum, and he gets the little folder where it has his you know, information about, you know, her boyfriend, you know, abusing him, all that stuff. And it made me think of the relationship far more differently now, because, like, dang, like, she like kind of like manipulate. I know moms like that. That's the thing. Like, moms who are like kind of manipulative towards their son, you know, and she's like the main reason why he is who he is today. And it makes me so sad. You know, you can see there's like a you know, love there. He's, you know, like, she's like literally maybe the only connection of, you know, love that he has in his life, you know, in terms of like a relationship with, you know, a friend in some words. So, like, and then realizing what she, you know, how she treated him and allowed that guy to mess him up, it just makes me think, wow, like, I feel bad. I feel bad for Arthur. And I'm glad when he started, you know, killing her, I was like, you know, I was in shock, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, I don't feel bad for her. Might make me messed up as a person, but sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, like we talk about like taking care of his mom. I don't want to know in what other ways this guy was taking care of his mom, because this guy has got some serious Oedipus complex going on this entire movie, and it was really uncomfortable to watch. The bit where she says like, "Oh, come and sit next to me on the bed," and he's sitting next to his mom and they're watching the TV, but it felt like he was coming home to like his wife almost a little bit. It was getting to that place, and it was really weird. Like the bathing as well. Like I know if like your mom's frail or something, like you're gonna do what you're gonna do, but that was weird. And then dancing with her as well. I don't know, man. This place went to like really weird places with that relationship with him and his mom. I will say, and this is. I noticed this more. I was kind of on this journey with it, and I was just loving every second of it. The first time I went to see it, I went to see it a second time today, and I guess I was a little bit more critical of it. And I was thinking about slight tweaks that maybe they could have. Like, it's a great movie, don't get me wrong, but this could have like made it an absolute masterpiece if they'd have tweaked this. I was getting kind of a lot of American Psycho vibes from this movie, and that there's moments where you don't quite know if this is actually really happening, or if it's all in his imagination, or if he's kind of, emphasizing exaggerating certain things in his life. And I think there are certain things in the movie that they could have kept more ambiguous than what they did in order for the viewer to sort of form their own opinion of it. There's kind of 3 moments that I come to the top of my head, or maybe 2 are the main ones. The first is with the mom. So we kind of get the sense that, she had this fling with Thomas Wayne back in the day. She had this child, Arthur Fleck, with Thomas Wayne, but he made her sign some papers and didn't want anything to do with her. And then when we meet Thomas Wayne and he confronts him, he says that, no, she's crazy. She's fabricated this whole thing. She's mentally ill. And I was watching this movie going like, I don't know who to believe. This is great. Like, do I side with Thomas Wayne here? Do I side with the mom? And I think had they have left it that way and for you to come up with your own opinion of it, I think that would have been much more impactful and thought-provoking. But then we do get the scene where he goes to Arkham and he gets the file and it kind of spells it all out for you there that, no, she really was crazy. And he had this really troubled upbringing. It's a great scene, don't get me wrong, but I just think that maybe withholding some information from us, or maybe him getting the file, looking at it, and we just get like a reaction shot of him, but we don't actually see what's in the file. Another example of that as well is Zazie Beetz' character. Now, when that whole part of the movie started off and we were watching it, and the kind of from the trailer as well, I didn't like this, where I thought, oh, are we going to go like this whole love interest relationship thing? Because that to me, when I was watching the movie, was the weakest part of the film. But then it completely flipped it on its head and subverted my expectations in a great way. And I was like, I like what you did here. I don't know if I needed the spell it out flashback that she really wasn't there in all of these moments. I think that you could probably get that from her reaction when he just suddenly shows up in her apartment. And maybe you could have thought, well, was this all in his head the entire time? So that's kind of my only criticism of the movie, is that I think that to get it to that masterpiece, they could have left a few things in the movie a bit more ambiguous than what they did.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you too, because when she saw him at the apartment, she's like, I think you're in the wrong apartment. From there, I kind of got it that like, it was not real. But and then when I was kind of wondering too, when he was looking through the paperwork, I was like, are we actually going to find out or not? And I do think, I agree that, it probably would have been better if they would have just left it like ambiguous. So, okay, what do you guys think? Okay, when I saw it and they kind of, made you think that there was a possibility that Thomas Wayne was his dad, what did you guys think? Like, I was like, oh my gosh, really? Like, that's kind of cool. That's a cool idea. Because I started thinking about like how cool, like interesting would it be if like Batman and Joker were half brothers and blah, blah, blah. But then it turned out apparently to not be true. So what did you guys think when you first kind of like, when that first, just like happened, when you thought that there was that possibility? Did you like it or did you not like it? So we'll start with Chris.
So that's interesting because, we know these characters, right? And I know that the comics kind of bomb off and do their own thing. We get different arcs. We get different ways of telling it. At first, I was kind of against it. I was like, whoa, hang on. This feels very fan fiction-y here. Like, the Joker and Batman are half brothers. Like, what's going on here? I don't quite get this. But then I was thinking more of the applications, like, well, if we do like get into the future with these characters where we do have the Joker and Batman and they've got this connection and, that could be really cool. It reminded me almost of, and I guess we kind of almost get this in some way at the very end of the movie with the whole Bruce Wayne thing, but it's like the Batman 89 Tim Burton where, Batman, the Joker made Batman, Batman made the Joker. It's this symbiotic relationship where both of them have sort of created each other. I know some people are fans of that, other people aren't, where they're just sort of you don't know their origins or anything. We don't know the Joker's origin, and then just kind of Gotham creates both of these characters. But I kind of liked it. But then I also did like the twist of no, actually they're not brother and sister, because it further reinforced brothers, because it reinforced the character of the Joker even more as we're getting him to that more and more desperate state before the end of the movie. So I would have liked it had they stuck to it. I think I would have warmed to it, but I'm also happy that they didn't, and they took it in the way that they did.
Okay, fair enough. No, I actually when that part was revealed that that Joker could possibly be Thomas Wayne's son, I was taken aback. I was like, wait, what? I was like, no, like no way, no way. I didn't like it at first, but like check myself and say, you know what, this is its own universe, is its own story. Let's kind of as the movie was progressing, I like that because there is a special connection and between Batman and Joker. So if they were half brothers, like Itzmo was mentioning, I was like, you know what, I could see that. I could see that's like because they're like yin and yang, Batman and Joker. So the fact that if they were half brothers, I could see what their intention was by doing it. Having that connection of them being related somehow. And then when we saw young Bruce and him, making him smile, and then you see Alfred, I was like, wait a minute. So I was like, something's up, something's not right here. And then when it revealed that connected, but the thing about the movie that I like also is if you want to believe that Thomas Wayne is related to or is the Joker's father, you could believe it. And if you don't want to, you could still be satisfied because the movie really doesn't really explain it and gives you like a clear-cut answer, which I really appreciate. So that way you can have your own opinion on it if you do think otherwise. So I like that. There's signs of both cases though. Like for example, the letter where I think it's a picture of Arthur's mom when she's a little bit younger, and there's a note that says you have a nice smile, I believe, and then it's signs TW for Thomas Wayne.
So it could be you guys still hear me, right? I'm sorry, I think I got muted for a sec.
Yeah, we can hear you. You cut out a second, but
yeah, I kind of was confused when I saw that picture because at that point, like I was like, okay, so it's not his dad, and then I saw that picture, like, oh, you have a beautiful smile, TW. I'm like, what the heck? So.
Yeah, because I don't know. I didn't know if that was like her own handwriting. His mom writing that so that way she could, feel that pretending that was in her own mind. But someone, I guess, because I after rewatch the movie, that's why I want to see her handwriting in the letter she was gonna, have Arthur sent to Thomas to see if it matches. Because if it does, then you could go either way. But people are crazy; they could have different personalities and write a different handwriting. I don't know. I'm just thinking things up. I'm just making things up right now. But I think that connection and the Zazie Beetz also, that connection. I saw that coming a mile away. That she wasn't real. Only because like I know I've seen Taxi Driver, seen King of Comedy. I know the main character has a side love interest, and they try to find some connection with like, wait a minute, how did she like right when he's like comes home after killing those men and then starts kissing her and goes to her apartment, I was like, wait, this is too rushed. I don't think she's real. I saw that coming a mile away. That it wasn't the case. And then when it was revealed that she was like, oh my God, like you're in the wrong apartment, I was like, oh yeah. I was like, thank God, because I love Zazie Beetz. I love her as an actress, but I was like, like I don't want her to be underutilized for this movie, but they use her effectively, for that reason, so that it's all in his mind. It's his mental state. It's what he, wants in life. He wants, hopefully he didn't kill her after he showed up in her apartment. But like, yeah, I really like that twist though, from both angles, from the Thomas Wayne and the Zazie Beetz relationship as well.
Yeah, I did think it was real when it was happening, because also And also, I was just hoping, I think I was just trying to be hopeful for him because I'm like, can this one thing go right for him? Like that somebody's actually gonna, care about him and everything, and that turned out to not be true. I'm like, oh dang it, poor dude. So I just quickly want to say hi to the people who commented: the Scarecrow, DC Comics, and Danksta710. Thanks for watching and commenting. Hopefully you're still there. I know you commented a while ago. Also, subscribe to Anthony and Chris. I put their channels in the description below, so go subscribe to them. And a super chat from Jimmy Freckles. Hello, thank you so much. One love. Oh, thank you. Okay, so, oh my god, so many great scenes. Okay, let's talk about just like some of your favorite scenes, not just one, because I can't even, I guess if I had to pick one, okay, there's so many good scenes. Like the comedy club scene, I thought was amazing. Okay, but my favorite, if I had to pick one favorite scene for me, was definitely the one with Robert De Niro, the talk show scene, because that's when you I think he fully becomes a Joker, and then just it's so intense. It's just like, oh my god. And then when he's yelling at him, they're yelling at each other, and then he shoots him. Everyone in the theater was like, oh my god. It was so great. It was so good. So that's definitely I think that's probably my favorite scene, and then the comedy club scene is probably my second favorite scene. So let's, what are your favorite scenes in the film? So we'll start with Chris or Anthony. Oh no, let's start with who was the last one? Anthony. So we'll start with you because you're switching. So Anthony, go first.
Okay. No, thank you. So my favorite scene, that's actually my favorite scene as well, when he goes on the show and that scene was so set up well because he comes out of the curtain, takes Robert De Niro, and then he goes up to the doctor and kisses her right on the mouth, and he sits his his butt down and he's just chilling. I love that scene so much, and it was a little bit of The Dark Knight Returns when the Joker goes on that talk show, because I thought based off the trailer that he was gonna kill not just De Niro but the entire audience as well. I thought they were gonna he was gonna do some crazy stuff, but the scene was so intense, and it was I was on the edge of my seat. I was watching with my sister yesterday, and we were like, yo, what's he gonna do? Because he was foreshadowing that scene where he's rehearsing, practicing, he's gonna go on the show, and he's has the gun, he's gonna go on stage. But then I don't know what part of the movie where he changed his mind. I don't know if it was when he got with De Niro, where he said, you know what, no, I'm not gonna let and I die here. I'm gonna shoot him, and then I'm gonna become the full embodiment of who I really am. That is one I've seen in some, and that, and he when his worker, the coworker, comes over to his apartment with the guy, and he he's trying to sure he gets the scissors, and he stabs him and he kills him. I don't know why that part was satisfying for me, because it's all the resolution, because that guy really pretended to be his friend, or maybe he never sold him the gun. We don't know, because the movie wants us to think about these things. So it's so intense, and it was so sad, because the guy was trying to leave and he couldn't reach the door handle. I was like, oh my god. So it was just a great representation of how scary Joaquin. He said in that scene too that he's like, oh, I'm not taking my pills anymore. Oh, he's not, and you could tell just the way he's his expression. He's more free. Has more confidence in himself, and you could tell he's just a completely different person from the beginning of the movie. So also, and the last thing I'll say is also the train scene when he kills those 3 guys in the train. I thought that scene was the beginning of the Joker's arc in the movie. I think in terms of the moment where he's the first time in his life where he actually feels he has control of something. He's not he's not gonna let the world keep beating him down, and just in the corner again. He's gonna stand up for himself, and I think that scene was what that scene. It's he's you could tell he's happy, he's satisfied, but at the same time he's oh my god, he doesn't have a moment where he's like, oh my god, I just killed the guy. It's just like, you know, he's happy in a way. So those three scenes really stood out for me, for sure, in this movie.
Yeah, no, I think we're pretty much all going to have like the same favorite scenes here, aren't we? My favorite scene in the movie was where the two guys come to his apartment with the really, really brutal murder scene. The thing is, though, like what happens afterwards, and I was laughing at the cinema, which made me question myself, because that's the thing with this movie, is that I do have a dark sense of humor, and there's a lot of dark sense of humor jokes in this movie. So like I knew where it was going as well. Like he kills this guy, and then you've got the small guy there, and he says you can leave. And I remembered that he'd locked the door, and I knew where it was going. But that's classic Joker right there, though, isn't it? That he would do something like that. And if you guys have played the Arkham games, and I think it's in the comic books as well, especially with Mark Hamill's Joker, in like Arkham Knight, he does make jokes that are really, you know, not cool to make fun of people. Like Barbara Gordon, when he shoots her in the spine and he's making paraplegic jokes and stuff like that. Like that is something the Joker would do. So that was the moment, that scene there with the brutal murder, and then he's like, "Oh no, I liked you. Yeah, you can leave. That's fine." That completely unhinged, and how quickly the Joker can flip flop. I thought that was the moment that cemented him as the Joker for me in that moment there. And then I'm thinking of like, these are more shots, I would say, than scenes. I love the scene of him dancing down the stairs to Gary Glitter's Rock and Roll Part 2. That's probably the most iconic image from the whole movie, right? And I watched that scene and I was like, yep, that's my Halloween costume for this year. I am going as the Joker. I'm going to dance down every single staircase that I see from now on. And also probably my favorite single shot in the movie, the blood smile at the end. I was like, that's hardcore. That's yes, that's the Joker right there in that one moment there. And the thing is as well, like with the talk show, and I do love the talk show scene, although I do have a few narrative problems with it. I'll go into my problems really quickly now, because it doesn't ruin the film for me or anything like that. But before he goes on the talk show, he makes a very bold statement saying that he doesn't believe in anything. This isn't a political movement or anything like that. And we really do get the sense that he's so cut off from society and everyone else that he is living in his own world the entire movie. In fact, all the people that he murders throughout the movie are people that have wronged him. They've either physically assaulted him, or, you know, they've wronged him some way, like the guys at his workplace. Robert De Niro's character's kind of made fun of him on public TV, everything like that. But then he kind of has this big speech to Robert De Niro's character where he says that, you know, society has put us down. And he doesn't say, if he'd have said put me down and he made it about himself, then I think it would have worked. But it does kind of get into the stage where it does kind of get political, and it is that statement talking about society and, you know, it needs an upheaval kind of thing. And I don't know whether the Joker would do that. The Joker that we get in this movie, Arthur Fleck's Joker, I don't know if he would kind of be that leader of the people. If at the end of the movie where he's almost deified, where he's like laid like the body of Christ onto the police car and he's like a celebrity, that could have been fun. That could have been the joke of the movie, where he's inadvertently caused this mass sort of revolution, uprising, without even intending to. Like, this has just kind of happened from something that he's done in his life. I think that would have been better. As it's kind of framed at the end, it's almost like he was this leader of the people, almost like a hero. I'm going to have to watch it a few more times, I think, before I get my thoughts cemented on it. But I think that a couple of rewrites to that speech at the end, where it wasn't so on the nose that this was for an agenda, I think that could have worked a lot better for the character. But I mean, the actual talk show scene is, even taking that aside, is incredible. And you can feel that tension because you know where it's going. You know exactly what it's building to and what's going to happen. But I actually thought the movie had ended there as well, like where he grabs a hold of the camera and he says, that's life. And then it kind of plays the music. There's actually quite a few moments in the film towards the end where I thought that's the final shot, and then it carried on. I was like, okay, no, that's the final shot, and then it carried on. But yeah, I guess that they're sort of my only problems, like the leaving it more ambiguous, what I mentioned earlier, and then that kind of speech, which I think kind of screwed with how we're meant to view this interpretation of the Joker.
Yeah, I agree. I also thought, like, when he got the camera, and then not maybe right there, but like when they had that shot with all the different screens, I thought like that's when the movie was gonna end, and then it didn't. And then I thought when like he kind of put the the blood, I'm like, okay, this is where it's gonna end, and then there's still more with him at Arkham and everything. But it's just like interesting because I haven't seen that in a while. Like I think Dark Knight Rises happened to me when I was watching. I'm like, okay, this one's gonna end, and did it. So it's just kind of interesting how there were like several shots where it kind of seemed like it was gonna end and then it didn't. So speaking of like, towards the end of the film, what did you guys think about them showing the Wayne murder? Did you guys like that or no? Like I didn't even before I watched the movie, I didn't even think that they were gonna that didn't even come to mind that would even appear. But then towards a certain point in the movie, I think when he went to go visit Bruce, it just popped into my head. I was like, I think they're gonna show the Wayne murder in this movie. I don't know, it just popped into my head, and then it actually happened. So what did you guys think? Let's start with Chris.
I am kind of torn on it. So when we get introduced to a young Bruce Wayne, I was kind of at that point. I think I turned to my friend midway through the movie when that part, in the grounds of Wayne Manor happened. I was like, do you think they're going to do the Thomas and Martha Wayne murder at the end of this movie? Is that how they're going to end it? I'm fine with it in the movie. It doesn't ruin the experience for me. I think it does kind of throw off the whole POV thing of the Joker, though. The entire movie, you're kind of with Arthur Fleck, and then we kind of cut to a completely different... he wouldn't know that that's happening. He wouldn't even know that that's going on at that time. So it kind of does mess with that POV style quality of the movie. To me, it does kind of feel like a bit of a studio note. It felt... I won't say that it felt like a reshoot, but it felt like, well, we've got to show the Waynes getting murdered, right? They're in the movie. We have to kind of frame it this way. It's fine, and I know it does kind of tie into the final joke that he's thinking about in the interview room, where he kind of laughs about you could interpret it many different ways. The way I interpret it is that he's laughing that Bruce Wayne's now an orphan, kind of like how he was ultimately. But I don't know, because it does feel very like a prequel. It feels like a prequel to Batman. We're gonna get these two together in another movie and see. But mind you, the age thing as well, I don't know how that would work. Batman probably wouldn't be Batman for another 10-15 years at the least, which I think would put Joaquin Phoenix close to the age of 60. So it's this geriatric Joker that we'd be going up against. I don't know how that would work. I could have done without it. I'm fine with it there. But I'd have been happy if this was just a straight Joker adaptation, and it's got me thinking, because I know that we probably won't get a sequel to this, unfortunately. I'd love to see Joaquin Phoenix come back as the Joker. I know we've got Matt Reeves' Batman trilogy coming out, and I do actually think it's quite smart how they framed it, in that if they do choose later down the line to bring Joaquin Phoenix Joker back into this new trilogy, then we've got this great kind of prologue into this new trilogy with this Joker that we've already got given. You've already done the origin story with Bruce in this movie that you could tie into it. But also, I never really got the impression all the way through this movie that this was the Joker, the Joker that will go up against Batman. He didn't have the acid bath or anything like that, and I know that he doesn't have to have that, but it doesn't really... He doesn't really strike me as the Joker that has the same qualities of that kind of Mark Hamill Joker, or that comic booky Joker that would go toe to toe with Batman. So I think they framed it in both ways, where they've kind of kept it open-ended, where they could possibly bring him back into a new trilogy, but also, as he is kind of this celebrity figure at the end, any number of those people in those clown masks could one day rise up and become the Joker. And maybe that's why this movie is just called Joker and not The Joker, because, it could be just kind of a lead-in, a prelude to the Joker that we know.
No, that's a great point. When I first saw that scene when the Waynes being murdered, I didn't see that coming at all. I thought that it was just going to be an Easter egg that Bruce Wayne is going to be in this universe, and that Thomas Wayne. I didn't even think Thomas Wayne was going to be in the movie as long as, or as important of a character than I thought. I thought it was just going to be in the background, just minding his business, just doing what Thomas Wayne would do. Was a bit... how to describe it? I was just shocked, because the way it was executed was fantastic, Bruce, and it was dang, it felt really really I saw the movie theater and it said Zorro. I was like, oh snap, they're not gonna do this right now, are they? They're gonna do it, and then they did. And it's kind of, I think the reason why they had that scene in the movie was so that it could again have that line in the end where he says, you know, I thought of a joke, and the therapist is like, you know, what are you gonna tell me? He's like, you wouldn't get it. You know, he's thinking about the irony of, you know, what, you know, happened with Bruce, you know, and that line he had earlier in the movie, I think he said, you know, you get what you deserve, you know, referencing that whole thing with Thomas Wayne as well. So I don't think they're gonna. I'm in the minority. I kind of like that. You know, this movie's gonna be a standalone movie, and that it's not gonna connect into the universe at all. Because Robert Pattinson's, you know, what, like 30 years old, and if he's connected to this Joker, Joaquin, yeah, like you say, he'll be like in these at that point, you know, in present time if they do it that way. So like, I'm glad it's, you know, standalone. I'm not upset about the Wayne murder, you know, scene. I thought it was a cool, you know, I guess loop, you know, in the world, kind of like saying that, oh yeah, guys, by the way, this is still connected. You know, this is still a part of the DC, you know, canon. This is still the story of Joker and, you know, Batman. And but the thing that I don't like, I guess, in a way, is I'm not the biggest fan of Tim Burton, Michael Keaton Batman. And I don't like it was the Joker that was the one that killed Bruce's parents. I like that it was just a regular random person that was the one that did it, and Batman never knew who it was, and that, you know, drives him. You know, that's something that always, you know, drives him to this day. You know, Batman's never knew who was the guy who murdered his parents, but he's gonna unleash all that rage to, you know, people who, you know, those, you know, his enemies and all that stuff. So in this movie, it's kind of like a connect. It's kind of like, it reminds you of the Tim Burton movie, because it's like the Joker is the reason for this revolution. It's his, you know, anarchy that caused this random person to be the one to kill Bruce's parents. So I get it. That's supposed to be like a, you know, tragedy, you know, in the movie, you know, the bittersweetness of it. So I didn't really mind it. I thought it was done well enough, you know, but I was scared for a second, because I was like, oh, I don't want to kill his parents again. I already seen that in Tim Burton's movie already. It was just, again, it was a random guy, but it was caused by Joker's revolution that he started. So I didn't mind it at all, to be honest.
So I just want to read some of the comments from favorite scenes. Vigil said he liked the restroom scene. Is that the one with Thomas Wayne and Arthur? Is that the one you're talking about?
Mhm.
That was a good scene. And then Fresh Ingredients, when he blasted the 3 guys on the train. I have to say, like, yeah, I kind of like I didn't feel bad for them. Like, oh God, I'm horrible. But they were, I mean,
Me
as a girl
neither.
who's been harassed, okay, I could relate to that lady, okay? And then he kind of was, you know, Arthur was kind of standing up for her in a way, or he kind of felt for her. So that kind of made me like side with him. I mean, I wouldn't encourage go like kill people who harass women, but like, I mean, they were a-holes. They were such douchebags to him, and I felt really bad for him because, you know, he had this condition. He's like laughing, and they're like making fun of him. So maybe I'm horrible, but I just didn't feel bad. Sorry. And then Fresh Ingredient also said that it seems like they want to leave it open for a sequel with that scene of the Waynes getting murdered. Maybe, but, you know, I kind of hope there isn't one. I feel like, you know, it's so good. Just leave it as it is. You know, I always prefer to be, even though, yeah, sometimes we want more, I kind of prefer that feeling over like them kind of, you know, giving us more and it's not as good and it kind of taints the whole thing.
Mhm.
So I kind of would be okay if they just left it like that. And, you know, that seems to be like what Joaquin wants, and I think what Todd Phillips wants too. So we'll see. Just because like it's so good, I just feel like just leave it, you know, because I mean, who knows? They might give us another amazing sequel, but I don't know. It's just like it's I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, would you want another one, or, you know? Let's start with Chris.
I think why this movie works as well is that let's say you take the Joker persona out of this movie and you don't call it Joker, and you just have it about this guy that goes crazy with society and eventually kills a bunch of people. It would still work as that movie. It doesn't need to be a Joker movie. I think that's why this movie really, really holds up. But having seen, you know, DC just sort of letting Todd Phillips have carte blanche with this movie, go make this movie. It's been touted for Oscars, everything like that. It's artistic. It's fantastic, everything like that. I would kind of like to see more of it because Batman's Rogue Gallery is the best comic book Rogue Gallery of all time. I would like to see a Scarecrow movie. I would like to see a Riddler movie. I think you could do a great Penguin movie in the style of like Scorsese's Goodfellas, like this kind of gangster movie with the Iceberg Lounge, this really sleazy movie. I'd like to see more movies in that vein. I don't think we're going to get a sequel to this. I don't think Joaquin Phoenix would do one. Not to say that we're not going to get another Joker. I would expect we'll probably get one for Matt Reeves' trilogy. If you like said make a sequel to this movie right now, I'd love to see like a different interpretation in the same kind of tone of this as Harley Quinn. I would like to see that the Joker corrupting someone else's mind, one of, you know, the psychiatrists at Arkham, and turning her into the same as him. I think that could be a really good way. There's no way we're going to get that because Margot Robbie is, you know, they're doing Birds of Prey and Margot Robbie is in everyone's mind who Harley Quinn is. But I don't know. I'd love to see more film like DC just go really dark and somber with a lot of these movies. Not the kind of dreary kind of, you know, like Man of Steel or BVS or anything like that, but this really sort of, you know, real life kind of interpretation. I think that could really work. But I'll be fine if this is a standalone. That's the impression that I was going into this movie anyway. The fact that they did include the Waynes kind of feels a little bit out of place because you think, what's the point? Because, you know, we're not going to get any more of these. But yeah, no, it is kind of sad because we just get to that point when Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is in the back of that cop car and he's kind of propping his head against the thing. I was like, that's the Joker right there. And unfortunately, the movie ends just as we get to that point, which is a shame. I would have liked to see a full movie out of this, but who knows? I mean, anything could happen in the future. He could come back, maybe not. We don't know at this point, I guess.
No, I agree. I love Joaquin in this role. I do prefer this to be a standalone. I wasn't even asking for a Joker movie at all. Back when this movie was first released or announced, I should say. I was like, I don't understand the point. Why are we so focused on the Joker? Can we please just have a Batman standalone movie with Ben Affleck already? And then you know all that stuff happened. So the fact that the movie is as good as it is, and Joaquin, you know, who's kind of a method actor, you know, was so attached. I know Joaquin because Joaquin, I remember he was rumored to be said that he doesn't want to be in multiple movies, so which is why he did Joker, and he, you know, obviously just wanted to do this one character piece, and you know, play. People could change their minds, you know. It's really see Joaquin back as Joker, left it open ended, like you said. But to be honest, I think that leaving this the best, and I think DC should just focus on finally getting a Man of Steel sequel in the works, please, or a Green Lantern. You know, like just focus on those movies because I'm not even excited for Birds of Prey. To be honest, like it's kind of like, you know, not I wasn't really a big fan of the way it was executed, but yeah, I think it would just be better just to leave it on its own because like the movie was meant to be like an Oscar campaign movie. You know, it was like kind of like DC's comeback to years ago. So leave it alone because that's one of my favorite movies of all time. And seeing a sequel to that, I don't want to see a sequel to that. You know, same thing. You know, like it's not even. How best describe it? Like it's not even. It doesn't even feel like it's the same universe. It feels like it's an Elseworld story. I cannot see Joaquin interacting with, you know, actual actors in this universe, which is not bad. It's just the way Todd Phillips intended. But that's just me, you know. But that's just me. That's my opinion for one kid. So.
So I have to say that I guess maybe one of my only like negatives about the movie was kind of like what Chris said about how I thought we were gonna get to see more of Joaquin as like the Joker. Like I thought I was gonna focus more on that. Like I knew we were gonna get to see like the origins, but he became the Joker, like kind of Joker, like towards the end, and then it kind of like ends after that. And I'm like, God dang, like I want to see like more. More is just basically like his first day as a Joker. That's kind of like all we saw, and I thought we were gonna get to see like more of him as the Joker. So I guess that would be kind of my only negative that we didn't get to see more of that. But like, okay, if they did announce a sequel, I wouldn't be mad. But I just feel like it probably won't happen unless they offer Joaquin a lot of money, because it takes a lot out of you to play the Joker physically and emotionally, mentally, you know, as we've seen with Heath Ledger and, you know, Joaquin physically. And then even like Jack Nicholson, he had said that he had warned Heath Ledger, or either, I don't know if he had warned him like personally, but he did say like, did comment on like how, you know, it's just like it's very intense to like play that, you know, play that role. That's why I think most, you know, like, that's why I said in my review, like, if you're an actor and you want to be nominated for an Oscar at some point in your career, play the Joker, because that's such like two actors. Well, one actor has been nominated for playing the Joker specifically. Joaquin hopefully will get nominated, and then Jack Nicholson, Jared Leto. Even though they didn't get nominated for playing the Joker, they're like Oscar-winning actors. So it's just like, it's such like a good role, I guess, like for an actor to play in their career. But I don't know. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. Let's see. Wolf Pro 1 said, "What's up? Hi. Joker is awesome." Yes, it is. Scarecrow, I'm back. And then I felt that the Thomas and Martha Wayne, that scene was unnecessary. It has no personal connection with any other future sequels happening in its universe besides Batman's origin is very well known. Yeah, I didn't feel like it was necessary, but they included it in there, so it didn't really bother me. And I think maybe like DC seems to do pretty like well when it's more like standalone films. So maybe that's the key, like that Warner Brothers has to kind of just stick to that. Just like if they're gonna make films about any character, just kind of maybe not have it as like a big connected universe, because then things get all like crazy and everything. So
and with that class system now, like the rich versus the poor, does that mean that Batman's just going to be beating up poor people for like the rest of his career? Like if we're meant to infer like all the crime in Gotham is from like this lower class system, this revolution, like that's kind of weird that Bruce Wayne's just going to be punching poor people in the face for the rest of his life.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up.
I guess he's following in his father's footsteps, right? Like,
yeah.
Ouch.
Oh my god, I wrote my okay, what did you guys think of like, because I definitely felt like there was, I mean, I don't feel like there was like a specific like, I don't even know how to say it, like I feel like there was like a little bit of a commentary on like just maybe like different like mental health, you know, just like being, I guess like just being more sympathetic towards people and trying to help them, and maybe just treating everyone just overall better, because then, you know, people get screwed up kind of like the Joker. I don't know, I felt there was not like it was like beating you over the head with like this message of like, let's be kind to everyone, but like I felt there was like a little bit of something in there, especially with like just like mental health, just helping people, because, you know, they cut the funding and I felt so bad when that happened. I was like, oh my god, he's not gonna get help anymore. And so did you guys get anything like that from the movie? We'll start with Anthony.
Yeah, I did get some commentary and some kind of like political messages on mental health, like you said. I know the movie had a lot of controversy before it even got released, and before people even saw the movie. You know, people kind of sensitive about the whole shootings going on, and you know, the movie trying to empathize, you know, with a person who has suffered health, you know, shoots some people, even though like he shot people that were kind of douches in the train scene. I think those movie also kind of addressed like it's hard to explain. Like the movie addresses so many things like our society, you know, like corruption and the the dangers of bullying in a way, because you could say kind of an abuse, things like that. There were kind of things that were addressed in the movie, but I think it was like kind of like beating you over the head with it. I think it was like using the Joker character and using it in a realistic way, or I guess grounding him in our quote unquote reality, and just subliming that with his character in a way. I got some of the messages for sure, but I didn't think it was And but the thing is, like, okay, I got the messages, but I don't think it was over like being over the head. But I feel like it was still um trying to start conversations, because these are very sensitive things that people, don't really talk about nowadays, and like, look, and I'm not trying to be political or anything, but there's a lot of, our society's messed up as well, and there's a lot of things going on with, shootings, and it doesn't seem like there's anything being done at all, in our country. So I think that the movie, it's not Todd Phillips' job to give these messages. I think he's just, like addressing it, but like it's for you to decide if you want to talk about it or not. I know there's people that, and I love Jeremy John's review about the movie, because he said that, people were, again, bringing back the whole mental health issue and shootings. When he was talking about the movie, when he shot those 3 people, and Jeremy Johns was, talking about the people that were critiquing out, and his perspective was like, people were mad at the movie because it made them feel satisfied when he killed those 3 innocent people, and he said people were mad that the movie made them feel happy about him shooting innocent people because, it's like he's a psychopath or whatever. But it's the Joker character. He's supposed to be this crazy person, It's like John Wick came out this year and he shoot so many innocent people, people with families probably, and no one addressed it because it's a DC Joker movie. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I feel it's a little bit hypocritical in a way. And the same people that are, kind of addressing these things are kind of like the same things that Todd Phillips is trying to address in the movie itself, So that's just my perspective. It beat, us over the head with these messages. I think it's actually kind of refreshing that someone's actually taking advantage of, this movie and, commenting on these things, like Captain Marvel, and there's some other movies that come out this year with, SJW feminists. I'm a feminist, but there's certain movies that come out this year that are like, female empowerment, and then make all the males, just, stupid and, dumb and all that stuff. That stuff like that bothers me. But this movie, it was like not trying to be like, there's movies that do those commentaries that do it in a bad way, and has no like, I'm trying to think the word, like subtlety, I guess, with getting the message across. It's a movie, and you can have your own perspective on certain things, but it's fine to have those messages. It's not wrong. It's just like, do it subtly where it's not beating you over the head, doing these things. So that's kind of my perspective. I know what's kind of like my mindset, if that makes sense.
I definitely think there's some commentary in there. Absolutely. The mental health thing, it's the scene as well, like where they say like they've cut the funding. And also I think there's the scene with like maybe people in politics. I mean, I know you guys, US politics, everything like that, but right now British politics it's like a satire in itself. It's hilarious if anyone's like following the whole Brexit thing. It's laughable. And I think like with Thomas Wayne in this, like you have to kind of like, is he being genuine? Like when he's on these interviews and he's saying, I care about the poor people, but then when he talks to the people, he really doesn't. He's very detached. So I think it's this media front that, you could infer like, presidents or campaigners or mayors, that face that they put on, which again ties in with the whole themes of the Joker, right? It's putting on that smile. It's putting on that different persona than what's really going on the inside. Dark Knight Rises as well kind of dealt with the class, the wealthy and the poverty stricken as well. I thought it was much better utilized in this movie. In that movie, it felt very tacked on. Batman fights Bane in the stock exchange. I don't need to see that in a Batman movie. That's just like beating you over the head with it. I didn't feel beaten over the head with it with any of the themes or anything in there, but I definitely do think there's commentary there which you can read into. In terms of the whole violence scare and everything, not just with this movie, it seems like every now and then, like every 5 years, a movie will come out where there's this big, set to. Even Dark Knight, when that came out, I think there was a whole controversy over that movie with violence. Violent movies and violent video games do not create violent people. I'm very passionate about this topic. I did like when I was in university, I did a whole essay on this because I just hate when people use that as an excuse. It's an art form. It's, people have got like a screw loose, like, or something's going on that has got them to that point to make them a violent person. It's not me going to see the Joker isn't going to make me do any kind of violent act. And not just that, there are way more violent movies that have come out. Off the top of my head, like Deadpool, any of the Deadpool movies, he kills way more people in that movie, and that's kind of glorified and played for laughs as well. I think it's just when a movie, it depends on the tone of a movie. This is a much more sort of serious take on anything that Deadpool is, despite Deadpool having a way higher body count. But I think people in the media like to point fingers. I think they like to pin everything on one thing that's popular at the time. That Joker movie is causing violent people. I hate that. I can't stand that. We've had someone in the comments as well. June says that this has a $234 million worldwide opening weekend for Joker. So it hasn't scared anyone away. I'm really grateful that this movie's made money. It absolutely deserves it. And as Jimmy Freckles says as well, it's someone's art. This is an artistic piece. And just because it's about a character who commits violent acts doesn't make it not art or anything like that. Also, if someone's going into this movie criticizing the violence in it, did they forget what movie they were going to see? Like, the Joker is not a character that's going to save cats out of trees or anything like that, Like, he is one of the, some might say, is the greatest villain of all time. Like, I don't know. I don't understand some people, but yeah, that's my 2 cents on the matter.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I totally agree. Like,
I'll get off my soapbox now.
do you not know who the Joker is? Like, what? Like, obviously he's gonna kill people. If you're gonna see a movie with the Joker, just get ready, okay? He's gonna kill people. Just saying. Like, I don't know, what people are expecting. Okay, so one thing I did like about this movie is that it definitely scared me a lot. Like, the Joker terrified me, and I feel like that's how the Joker should make you feel. So, I mean, certain scenes that I can think of right now. First of all, when he kills his coworker, and I feel like for a moment he's gonna kill the little guy. Like, he's gonna make him think he can escape, but then he's actually gonna. I'm like, oh my god, he's actually gonna kill him. Like, oh no. And then, when he was with Bruce, like, I know he wasn't gonna actually kill him because he's gonna become Batman, but I thought he was gonna try to do something to him. So there I was on the edge of my seat a little bit, biting my nails. And then just, in the talk show scene after he shoots, when he shoots the talk show host, Robert De Niro's character, first of all, that was already shocking, the way they shot it and everything with the blood. It was so explicit. I'm like, dang. And then he shoots him again. I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm just like, okay, so he's gonna go and shoot everyone. I was so scared for the audience. So thank you for scaring me, because I feel like that's how the Joker should be. Should be terrifying. So, what did you guys think in terms of how scary he was? And I haven't seen it too. Sorry, but if you did see it, who do you think is scarier, Pennywise or this Joker specifically? We'll start with Chris.
So I haven't seen It Chapter 2 yet. I did see the first one. I basically know the plot of It Chapter 2 though, so I don't need to see it. It's a no-brainer. The Joker is way scarier than Pennywise. Come on, an extraterrestrial entity that can take the form of anything that you fear, but it's actually a bunch of deadlights or whatever it's called. It's a concept that's way too far out there. Let's just strip it down to the basic form with this movie. This is a guy that just snaps with society and turns into a complete sociopath, psychopath. That's way more terrifying. This feels real. You could walk past someone in the street and they could have thoughts like this and we wouldn't know it. And that is a terrifying idea. It's a no-brainer. The Joker's way more scarier. But I would definitely say Heath Ledger Joker was scary because he was so unpredictable. Everyone's talked about that, but the magic trick, the pencil trick. When I first saw that and when the audience first saw that, there was just a collective gasp across the entire theater. It was amazing. But this, Joaquin Phoenix Joker is also equally as unpredictable, and you don't really know what's going on behind that 1,000-yard stare. Yeah, no-brainer. Joker all the way.
Yeah, I have seen It Chapter 2. I love the movie. That's tough because I don't think Pennywise was as scary as. But with that being said, I still think that I agree with Chris. I think the Joker is far more scarier than Pennywise, because Pennywise is granted he's your worst fears come to life, but Joker is scarier to me because especially with Joaquin's Joker, because he feels like someone that can exist in our reality, in our real, everyday life. And that's even scarier because, like, seeing how he just gets, freaking, again, he's just being mentally ill, and him getting beat up by people every single day. And like, it's so creepy. Like, there's so many scenes in this movie where I was just like, Jesus Christ. Like, I was in shock, and it's scary. Like, when he's on that show, and then there's that one shot where it's like he's on backstage and he's smoking a cigarette, and he just seems like he's in control. Like, it's perfect. Like, that's the Joker. So no, I love how scary he was. It was awesome. He has to be.
Yeah, definitely. That is a very good point. That why the Joker is scarier, in my opinion, because he's someone that could actually exist. If someone just because I mean, there are already crazy people out there anyway. Like, someone, I feel like it's very possible for someone to get to that point to become like the Joker. So that it's definitely reason why he's definitely, I think, more terrifying. And then some other comments. Let me see if I can show this one. I didn't know this was a feature. Let me play around with it. So, oh, sorry, Chris. Says Joker versus Two-Face versus sequel. Harvey Dent taking Thomas Wayne's spot in the mayor's race, and Joker creates Two-Face like he did in The Dark Knight. Oh, okay, that would be interesting. And then June also said the media was fine with Thanos killing half the universe, but they couldn't handle the Joker killing a handful of people. Yeah, it's definitely a bias. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that there's bias towards DC. And then Jimmy Freckles, any monster that is relatable, I think scares us the most. Yes, for sure. Okay, now, so okay, this might be a little hard. Okay, how do you guys rank Joker? Not like the portrayal, because I feel like every Joker is awesome and special in their own way. But like, how would you recommend the movie? Like, I mean, rank the movie amongst like your DC films, and then just amongst Batman films. So like, where would you put it in like your top 5 or top 10 DC films, and then where would you put it in terms of like Batman related films? Because it's not really a Batman film, but it's like Batman related film. So for me, I feel like it might be my number 1 DC film. Now, like, I don't know, I might change it later, but in terms of DC films, I think it might be my favorite now. And then in terms of like Batman films, or Batman related films, maybe number 1, 2. I don't know. I just really, I'm in love with this movie right now. So right now for me, it's like my number 1 on both lists. So we'll start with Anthony.
Dang, those are controversial words. I'm just kidding. No, for DC movies, Watchmen is still my favorite DC movie of all time, the director's cut. And then I would have like The Dark Knight, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, and then I would have Joker probably. So it will be number 5 for me. And then in terms of Batman movies, I think this movie is a little bit more realistic and grounded than movies like Unbreakable and The Dark Knight. So I think in terms of a Batman movie, that's tough. I will have The Dark Knight, and then Batman. Okay, yeah. So Dark Knight, Joker, Batman Begins, and then maybe BVS, and then because BVS is not really a Batman movie, so it's kind of like a connected movie in a way. So even though Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman of all time, so then BVS, and then I would have like Dark Knight Rises in like 5th. So yeah, Joker would be second. That's tough. Oh my god. No, yeah, Joker. Sorry. Yeah, Dark Knight and then Joker. So it would be my second favorite Batman movie, if that makes sense.
Well, my number 1's obviously Batman and Robin, so there's no contest with everything else. I'm kidding. I keep forgetting that Watchmen's I keep forgetting that Watchmen's a DC movie. Like, every time, that's a great shout. I love Watchmen as well. Oh god, ranking DC movies as well. My number 1 favorite and number 1 favorite Batman film. Me and Anthony are going to disagree here, but this is purely just because of nostalgia. My number 1 is always going to be Batman '89. That was the first superhero movie I watched growing up. It got me into Batman, the soundtrack. I love Nicholson, and Keaton's my favorite Batman as well. So just everything with that movie, it was kind of a match made in heaven. So that's always going to be my number one. But I will openly admit that like the Dark Knight, Nolan stuff, this movie is much more involved and you can analyze it a lot more. Tim Burton's one's quite surface level, but if I'm just going to pop in a Batman movie and watch it and just be entertained, it'll probably be the Tim Burton one. Other DC movies, I love Superman the movie, Christopher Reeve, 1978, solid movie. Just gets me there every time in the feels place. Other Batman films though, where would I rank Joker amongst it? It's difficult, right? Because it's still so early on. And the thing is, I knew you were going to go here. I knew this was going to be like one of your final questions. I'm still going to say that I think I prefer Batman Begins and The Dark Knight to the Joker. I think there's more going on in it. Obviously, there's more characters. You've got like the whole Two-Face thing. You've got Ra's al Ghul. You've got a fantastic origin story of Bruce Wayne becoming Batman in that movie. And you've also got Heath Ledger in there. I'd probably go Batman 89 is my favorite. Then Begins, then Dark Knight, then this Joker movie. So it's top 5 easily. I need to throw Batman Mask of the Phantasm in there as well, because that movie does not get enough love. I love that movie too. But it's still early days yet. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this movie stacks up in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years time, like The Dark Knight has. The Dark Knight's over 10 years old now. It's still incredibly popular. I know that movie still has a lot of fans, and even Heath Ledger's Joker is still very much in everyone's collective consciousness, even at this point. And that's the thing that I love most about Batman. Batman's my favorite character in fictional history. I love how all of these characters are legacy characters. Like, I'm going to look forward to in another 20 years and see how much Batman material we've had in that period and how it's constantly evolved. You can look back to the 1940s stuff and the 60s and the 80s and just how it constantly develops, and I find it absolutely fascinating with all these characters. So here's to the next Joker, I guess, as well.
All right, thank you guys. Sorry for the difficult question, but I had to ask. So some of the comments, Fresh Ingredients said Batman 89 still up there for me. Okay. Jimmy Freckles, The Dark Field of 89 started the DC Cinematic DC Universe. Yes. In terms of style, shout out to Chris Reeve. Yes. Batman Forever, a guilty pleasure of mine. Okay.
So I got to ask, did you ever get round to watching Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, Itzmo?
No. Okay. I haven't seen it.
You still need to do that.
I will watch them. I think, okay, when Chris comes to visit, we're going to watch them. Okay. Okay.
Wow, that's going to be like running headfirst into a concrete wall after you've seen the likes of Joker, going back to Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Yikes.
Yeah. I might have to record my reaction or something to it. 499 from, thank you for the super chat, Jimmy Freckles. Thank you. That's very, very sweet. Anything else you guys want to say about this movie? I, don't want to keep you guys forever, but it's you want to comment Robert De Niro. We didn't really talk about him specifically, but I'll let you guys, say anything else you want to say.
Really quickly. Oh, sorry. I was going to say really quickly for me, the score was fantastic. I'm just trying to find the guy who did it. Oh God, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. Hilda's score for this movie, not just the soundtrack was great, but the actual score, very atmospheric, not really hummable or memorable, but it really works for the film, and it's just really uncomfortable, and it captures everything the movie's about. So I love the music to this film.
Mm-hmm. It made me want to cry at times, just because I want the score for sure. It's just, so tragic and beautiful at the same time. Jimmy Freckles, have a great Sunday or evening, mates. All right. Thank you for joining us. And Fresh Ingredient, love the design of Joker's outfit. Oh, if you guys want to comment on the outfit, Chris, we'll start with you.
I'll let Anthony chime in first if he wants. I don't want to do all the talking.
No, I appreciate it. I love the outfit. I love it. It's really different. I remember when there was the on-set pictures or the first photos of Joaquin as a Joker. People weren't feeling the costume and the makeup, and I was kind of like, oh, let's see how it is in the movie, and it makes complete sense, and I love it. I can't wait to get I'm not sure. Maybe there is pop, the pop vinyls toys of this Joker. If there is, then I'm probably gonna go to FYE or the mall and buy one
Can I
myself.
if they have that, it has to have like the tier. I feel
Yes.
like you have to have it. I don't know why. I love that.
No, I agree. If they do, I gotta buy one ASAP because his outfit is so stylish and it's so like full. I love colors. I like the shirt. Like has like purple, blue, white. Like I love eccentric like colors that just like I love that stuff. So, yeah, his outfit was amazing. You know, Joaquin and he rocked it, especially when he was on the show with De Niro. And De Niro, I think it's so good to see him play a talk show host because De Niro in real life, when you see him in interviews, he's so shy and like so reserved, and see him have so much personality and like he wasn't like phoning it in or anything. So De Niro was probably my second favorite character in the movie after Joaquin because like he was just so like interesting. He was like just like he felt like a Jay Leno, David Letterman host. So that works for me, man.
Yeah, no, I love De Niro too, where he's kind of like cueing the orchestra
Yeah.
behind him. Like it looked like, and it's for the longest time as well. Like De Niro is one of the, a fantastic actor, but recently not so much. Like he's done some very sort of questionable comedic roles and things like that. This kind of put him back on the map for me. Like he looked like he was having a great time with it. The suit as well. As Anthony, as you mentioned, like when the set photos first started coming out of this thing, there was a lot of people that weren't too keen on like the makeup, like the blue above the eyes and everything like that. It was very different. The eyebrows painted on. Some people were even thinking, well, this is going to be his early costume and then he's going to get the costume. I knew that this was probably going to be the final costume and I was fine with it. It was a different look, but it's still obviously the Joker when you see it. To me, it was kind of suit-wise, it was his persona-wise, it was kind of a mashup of Cesar Romero's character, mostly from The Suit, but with a personality and kind of grungy look of Heath Ledger. And it's kind of, if you throw those together, that's what we got with this movie. I really liked it. I did actually think that he was creepier with just the painted white face than he was before he actually got the actual Joker makeup. That scene in the trailer where he's kind of like looking up like that was terrifying. Like that was the scariest moment in the movie for me before he even put like the blue on his eyes or anything like that. But yeah, no, I love the final costume. It's quintessential Joker, but it's still doing something different. Like we thought we'd seen it all with Heath Ledger's. It just goes to show that there is still some room to, there is some space there to show or tell something different with the Joker.
So anything else other than that, or before we end the live stream?
No, I mean that's pretty much it. I just want to just say that I love the movie. I think Joaquin will and should get nominated for an Oscar. The movie has beautiful cinematography, great music, great performances, and Todd Phillips deserves to be respected. I mean, he was already respected as a filmmaker, but I get it. People he did Hangover, the Hangover trilogy, and War Dogs, and he should be someone that I can't wait to see what he does next after after Joker, and I hope he gets more opportunities to do serious roles or serious stories like this. And I hope that the DC universe continues doing great storytelling, similar to the Joker movie, moving forward. I think that this movie really kind of like opened up a lot of people's eyes on our society, and I think the controversy is kind of like a good thing. It makes you, because after I saw it, I was just talking and thinking about the movie after I saw it for the first time. I'm like thinking about, wow, like I feel there's a bigger message in this movie that I'm still not understanding, and I'm still thinking about all of these things that I saw and witnessed, and the movie did a great job overall, giving me that feeling. So I love it. I recommend it. I hope you guys watch it. And I saw it in IMAX, so it was just beautiful to watch it that way. I would recommend IMAX. If I wouldn't recommend, watching it at home. Just watch it now. Don't let yourself get spoiled by others, because I almost got spoiled by some YouTubers already talking about the ending and stuff like that. So, but I already saw the movie at that point, so I was like, oh, thank God. But yeah, no, I love the movie, and I hope that it gets some recognition from fans, and I hope that 10 years later, when we talk about Joker, it's still remembered as a good, well done movie. Because a lot of movies don't live up, or last that long. Some movies get forgotten after a month or a year. So we'll see. And I love the movie, and I hope everyone sees it.
I'll agree with all those points. I think if you're a Batman or Joker fan, if you've read any of the graphic novels, there are some story elements from a few major ones. I think this movie is I think Killing Joke's probably the one that it's mostly close to. You get references to having a bad day and things like that. And, you know, it is that kind of cynical kind of style that Frank Miller did with the Batman comics. But also just from a service level of like movies in 2019. I've said this a lot of times on my channel that this has been one of the worst years for movies than I can remember. In terms of like going to what Anthony said, like really forgettable movies, like you'll come out of a movie and go, yeah, it was good. And then you probably won't ever go back to it. You probably won't watch it a second time. Or movies have just been plain bad. Like the blockbuster season this year has not been great. It's just nice to actually come out of a movie that stays with you, that you think about, that you can talk for almost an hour and a half with on YouTube. Like it's nice to have that. And I think that's why I've had such a strong reaction with this movie, and that it's had a strong reaction on me. Like I'm constantly thinking about it. I've seen it twice already. I'll probably see it a third time before it's all said and done. Yeah, and it's great. It's made me excited for Matt Reeves' Batman trilogy. I really cannot wait to see that. Another solid Batman trilogy. The talk of it being like a noir, showing that detective side of Batman. I can't wait to see that, and the villains that we're going to get in that as well. Yeah, so although Batman isn't in this movie, well, technically he kind of is, but although he's not technically in this movie, it has got me invested in like the Batman world and everything again, and excited to see what DC do after this. It's going to be weird though. I mean, if this does go up for Oscars, and you know, Birds of Prey could be good. I'm not going to say it's not going to be good, but again, the trailer, it just looks, oh, we're kind of going back to this. And now they've done Joker. It's like, no, more of this style, more of like movies that are really saying something and taking these characters in this direction. Whereas Birds of Prey just looks like it's going to be fine or fun, you know. But no, I think we've pretty much said everything I can. Definitely go and see this movie, support this movie, be aware of the movie that you're going to see. This isn't like a punch 'em up with Joker and Batman all the way through. This isn't explosions and everything like that. This is a deep analytical look at the psyche of this guy that becomes the Joker. Be aware of what you're going into, and I think you'll have a great time with it. Or at least, if not a great time, you'll think about it afterwards.
Okay, guys, sorry, I just came up with another question. I have to ask you guys because it's something that I haven't really heard anyone talk about. Okay, so a lot of us, you know, agree that, you know, Joaquin should at least be nominated, you know, for an Oscar for his role. But what about Todd Phillips? Do you think he should be nominated for writing this and directing this?
I think for directing, definitely. I think it should go up for cinematography, lead actor, and director, unquestionably.
Yeah, I think director, cinematography, editing, score, production design, because I think the production for this movie is actually really good. I love the sets that they were able to create in this movie. No, I agree. Todd Phillips, I know everyone keeps talking about Joaquin, but Todd deserves credit as well. He's the reason why we have Joaquin in the first place, you know? So yeah, he deserves credit as well.
Yeah, I feel like this should get so many nominations at least. Like, yes, I feel like he should get nominated for directing, editing, I don't know, just everything. Like, this film is just amazing. I love it. It has to win at least one Oscar, just win something. But
the thing is, though, if Joaquin wins, I want him to accept the award as the Joker. It will never happen, but I can just imagine him like standing, you know, being in the crowd, standing up and accepting it. That'd be amazing if that happened.
That would be awesome. All right, so I just want to mention, in case anyone like was curious, and I don't know, maybe Chris might be interested in it too, because him and I are both big Michael Jackson fans. Well, Michael Jackson's sons, well, he goes by BG now, but it used to be Blanket. Him and Prince Jackson, they have their own YouTube channel called The Film Family with their uncle Taj Jackson. So they actually did a review of the Joker. It's really good. I listened to it last night, and you know, Blanket BG, he is such an like insightful, articulate young man. Like, he has so many awesome thoughts about this movie. So I really recommend to just like listen to their reviews. They review pretty much like every movie. So just look up The Film Family on YouTube, or you know, later on I'll add their link in the description below. But I feel like I just recommend the review because like BG is so insightful. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so smart, young man. So yeah, I just wanted to like give them a little shout out, even though they're really famous. They don't need my shout out, but in case anyone was curious, there you go. So I think that's about it. I just want to thank Anthony and Chris for joining me today, and please subscribe to them. They're really awesome. They're way more knowledgeable and articulate than I am about film. So please watch their stuff on YouTube. So subscribe to them. And thank you again. Anything else you want to say before we go?
Just thank you for having me on the show with you guys. It's been great.
Okay, Anthony,
Yeah,
you're good?
same. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and you guys are awesome. Love you guys.
Okay, and thank you everyone for who watched and commented, and Jimmy for the super chats. I really appreciate it.
Nice.
All right, bye.